The order in which you eat your food can actually have profound effects on your fat loss goals. No, there's no magic here. It's not about some foods digesting differently than others, et cetera, et cetera. That's not really the key here. The key here is some foods are more satiety producing than others, in particular, protein. Also, protein tends to come with some fat, right? Most protein sources have a little bit of fat, so you get those essential nutrients. Proteins and fats are essential, carbohydrates are not. In other words, you could live without carbs for the rest of your life. I'm not telling you not to eat carbs, but what I am saying is eat those essential nutrients first. Also, the most important part is protein makes you eat less. When we used to tell our clients to eat protein first, they naturally would reduce their calories. They didn't have to try to. They would cut their calories naturally. They get the protein they needed, they get the fat that they needed, and they would get leaner and they didn't feel like they were restricting. So, order your food in a way that gets you those results. Protein first, watch what happens.
You know, when we were walking, we were just kind of talking about how the advantages of getting older and how long we've been lifting, and it's actually gotten easier to maintain staying in shape. And we were more along the lines of talking about just the weight training and how little a volume that I have to do to maintain a physique I would have died for at 25, right? The physique that I was working towards at 25, I can now maintain with very minimal volume. Part of that is also attached to this. I didn't know you were going to talk about this, and we were talking about training volume, but I remember when I made this shift of realizing that I just grossly underate protein and overate on carbohydrates and foods that were processed, and just simply saying, hey, I'm not going to tell myself I can't have these things, but I'm going to, every time I sit down to eat, I'm going to go after the protein first and then allow myself to enjoy whatever afterwards. How much, one, not only did it attribute to me increasing my protein intake consistently, so I was hitting more optimal levels, but then two, naturally satiate me and make me not want to overeat and overconsume. Mm-hmm. So it's like this beautiful balance of it just organically gave me the higher protein levels, which in turn helped me build muscle or maintain muscle, while simultaneously maintaining my calories in a much more manageable place, so that even if I do overconsume a little bit, I wasn't going way overboard by just making sure that I had the protein first. It's crazy how much that made a difference.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. It's the two diets that people will swear by and say, I lost so much weight doing this diet, and it was crazy. And I thought I was eating so much. It's totally, there's something magical about it. Are the keto or low carb or carnivore diets?
Yeah.
Now, the reason why people lose weight on those diets isn't because there's some magic in the diet itself, but rather they're eating a lot of protein, especially the carnivore diet.
So satiating.
You can't, it's hard to overeat when you do that. Very hard. In fact, my brother-in-law, you know, him and I have been going back and forth through diet. I finally convinced him, okay, dude, listen, eat, you know, he's a big guy. So I said, eat 200 grams of protein a day. Don't get it from shakes. Don't get it from bars. Eat it from real food. And he goes, but if I eat that much protein, I'm trying to get lean. I'm going to gain body fat. It's like tons of food. I said, try it and let's just see what happens. 5 days later, this is the text he sends me. He's like, bro, I can't eat 200 grams of protein.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't do it.
This is why I had to abandon it. I mean, I was like, this is great, you know, like I losing weight, but in terms of the performance.
Oh, you're talking about carnivore diet?
Yeah. In the gym, I was like, man, I am weak. And I'm like, and it really was because I was so low calorie, because it was just difficult to consume that much protein exclusively, not have any other options of variety to then stimulate my appetite at all. So that's just one of those things. And then you start realizing that that's a hack, you know, if you are trying to go in a bit of a deficit, but, you know, to incorporate all the other food groups and nutrients will help with your performance.
Like I said, my brother-in-law is not even trying to cut things out. I just said, eat 200 grams of protein, eat it from whole natural foods, eat it first, watch what happens. And he's like, I can't. He goes, bro, I know why this works. For the reason I told him, of course. He's like, I know why this works. He goes, I can't do it. I'm so stuffed and I'm getting leaner. He's like, this is so crazy. Now, a lot of people wonder, well, why? Why is this the case? Like, why does protein do this? This is why, evolutionarily speaking, in nature, if you eat high protein foods, you're very likely to be eating meat. Okay, it's very unlikely to find a high protein, non-meat source of calories. It just doesn't. very difficult. But before agriculture was invented, you didn't find like these super high protein plant sources. It was probably meat. What comes along with meat is a lot of nutrients, a lot of essential nutrients. This is why you could, not saying that this is ideal at all. I think this is far from ideal, but could you survive on eating just steak? You could, and you very likely wouldn't get a nutrient deficiency. You can't say that about other foods. So here's what happened naturally through evolution. When your body got lots of meat or lots of protein, it turned down the appetite signal because you probably got all the nutrients that you needed. When you got lots of sugars, then your appetite signal probably stayed high because you're probably lacking some nutrients that we need. Also, again, protein comes oftentimes with fat. Very rarely in nature do you find a pure protein meat source. There's typically, and also hunter-gatherers, weren't eating like the breast of of an animal or whatever and cutting things out. They were eating the whole thing. Yeah. So this is evolutionarily why this exists. But if you do this, it's very hard to overeat. In fact, most people will be in a calorie deficit. And so when you take your plate of food, and you got all the things on there, all you got to do is this. Like, I'm going to hit my target body weight in protein. So you figure out what that is per meal. So maybe it's 30 grams of protein or 40 or whatever, or 25. Then you take that meal. So you've got your 30 grams of protein, whatever that is, fish, chicken, eggs, whatever. And then you got the other stuff you want to eat. And then just eat the protein first. That's it. Eat in that order. And then watch what happens. Typically what happens is by the second or third meal, you end up leaving stuff on your plate because you don't want to eat anymore.
And what we're not talking about that I would argue is maybe the most powerful piece of all of it is the psychology of it. The fact that you are not telling yourself that like I can't.
You're not resisting. You just
restricting. Right?
Yeah, you're not. It's not like this diet I have to follow, or I'm punishing myself, or I'm saying I can't have these things. I don't do that. I say like, okay, I can have that. I can have that thing if I want it, but just as long as I just got to eat my protein first. So I'm gonna eat my protein first, and then I'm gonna see how I feel. And what ends up happening is 9 times out of 10, after I have that, I have very little appetite after that. Or the carbohydrate that I have is way less versus I'm hungry. I haven't eaten in a while. My cravings are up like crazy. The plate's in front of me and I go straight to the bread, straight to the pasta. And man, I'll eat and eat and eat in that until I eat 1,000 calories in pasta. And then I go over and work my way to the meat. And then sometimes don't even finish the meat all the way through versus just going like, hey, I'm not going to say I can't have the pasta and can't have the carb, the bread. I'm just going to make sure I eat that 8 ounce or 10 ounce piece of steak or chicken or turkey or whatever it is first, and then I'll work my way over to the other side, and it just makes a massive difference. And so the psychology behind, telling yourself that, I'm not telling myself I can't have those things. I'm just going to discipline myself to prioritize what my body needs first. And then if it still wants more and I'm craving that and I haven't had it, well, why not? I'm going to allow myself. And it's wild.
It turns out that you end up in a great place.
So many times. Many times like that.
Today's giveaway on YouTube is MAPS Anabolic. To enter to win, leave a comment under this video in the first 24 hours that we drop it. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. If you win, we'll let you know in the comments section. Also, the June special is half off. MAPS 15, half off the bikini bundle of programs, and half off the shredded summer bundle of programs. All of those 50% off, all of them available if you click on the link at the top of the description below. All right, here comes the show. Speaking of psychology, I've been, listening a lot to John Deloney's podcast and clips and stuff like that. And a couple things I realized. One is listening to people who communicate as well as he does, because he has a lot of callers calling. So if people don't know, he's got a podcast. People call in to his show and then they have problems. Like, my husband cheated on me. My wife is not into me anymore. My son is smoking too much weed. I'm suicidal, whatever, right? Like in his, this is what he does for a living, or what he did for a living before he had the podcast, is he helped people. So you hear him communicate, and a couple things came to me. One is listening to someone communicate as well as he does helps me become a better communicator. Two, the communication skills that he exhibits are the ones that I remember as a trainer that I had to really master to be effective with my clients. Now, obviously, I didn't deal with the problems, thankfully. Yeah. Although sometimes people would share crazy shit to trainers. I wasn't there to help him with that. But, it's like he listens, and he listens well. He validates. He always validates the person. He empathizes. And what he does is he opens the people open their doors for his advice. Like, without those things, the validation and empathizing, people would stay closed off. He's so good at it when he talks to people, I'm picking up on it, on
I
how he
always
does it.
wonder, like, and I'm sure they have some kind of screening process with the phone calls that come in and everything. I've seen them do this live. And so you have no idea what kind of questions are coming your way. And to be able to, like,
On the fly.
Yeah, on the fly, just come up with these, like, really thoughtful answers and helpful answers for people is such a masterful skill. So like you said, like just picking up those tidbits and ways to better communicate is so helpful.
There is a bit of a formula though, like and we talked about this in one of the last podcasts that we recorded, where we were talking about the value of sales and just the art of communication, that everything that we do when we're communicating to people is a form of sales. Right. And there's some rules to that. Like, it's like some of the rules, like you don't ever tell somebody no, or like, and you agree, you empathize with them right away.
Oh yeah.
Like,
it's all there.
Yeah. Like you're never going to close somebody on a deal or help somebody out until you can first kind of break down that wall. And we all kind of have one, and some of us have bigger walls and like ones that are tougher to bring down, but we all tend to have this. And when you are initially meeting somebody or talking to them, there's this, whether you realize it or not, subconsciously, you're evaluating, like, is this a person I can trust? Is this a person that I can share my feelings with or tell them how I really feel in this first initial reaction? And people like John have refined that skill of knowing how to disarm somebody right away. Like, and avoiding your knee-jerk reaction that is normal. Like, you hear some crazy thing they say and, oh my God, you want to say that, but he's like, knowing like, I can't do that. And I remember this with clients, like, and I remember one of the skills that I used to teach my trainers, like right away when a client expresses their challenges or how their struggles with weight loss or like their insecurities around that, is to make them feel very normal.
Validate.
Like, it's so important that they don't feel like they're alone on this little island and everybody else gets it and everybody else is fit and it's just them who is, and so no matter what the thing they said, I had always practiced that, like, oh, so many of my clients struggle with this too. Like, that was like a statement I would say back, no matter what was said to me, to make them feel at peace that it's like, hey, and then also comfortable with me that I've seen this before, don't worry. And I've seen it a lot. And actually, a lot of people struggle the same way that you struggle with this. You're totally normal. That's a huge, like, bring down the wall.
Oh, yeah. Because then, he can pull so much more out of these people too. And I love how, too, he'll kind of pause and then be like, tell me more about that. And it's like, it allows for that time for them to really articulate more, because there's always like so much more to the story. And it's like, sometimes you want to just solve the person's problem right away, but it's like, you got to really just kind of be patient.
People who are good at that you'll tell them your issue, your challenge, and then they won't talk right afterwards. They'll just look at you and wait. And wait. And then what ends up happening is people will tell you more.
Also, another great sales skill.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, one of the things I'd always communicate to my salespeople is just like, believe it or not, you're going to become a better salesperson when you speak less. A lot of people
Isn't that funny? What a true statement.
So many people will come to the solution themselves, or they even know the answer, and you just being there and giving them the space will allow them to get there, which is what I used to always say. The difference between a good closer and a great closer is this: a good closer read all the books, knows how to overcome objections, can push somebody into a sale by overcoming objections. But a great closer can pull somebody in. And the way you pull somebody in is by asking the right questions, shutting your mouth, listening, allowing them to talk. And many times they'll walk right into that.
By the way, a lot of people don't know this. I did a sales training for trainers and coaches, like a full one. It's at mindpumptrainercourse.com, right, Doug? So it's a 3-day course. I want to say the last day is the one where I do the full sales training. So it's totally free. You could go check it out. Anyway, I wanted to bring something up about inflation because I saw some crazy numbers. Adam, you're going to trip off this.
Let's hear it.
So obviously election season. Yeah. So it's all
Have they admitted it's real now?
So frustrating, man. It's like economy's great.
It's transitory.
Yeah.
Transitory.
I know, dude.
What the fuck that means?
We've been in a transition for like 4 years.
Somebody actually said today, because I posted this and I was talking about, somebody actually told me, inflation, it doesn't mean we're in a recession. I was like, okay, dude. Like, it's so that, like, the semantics that people play.
Semantics.
So unemployment looks good, and it's like, bro, I pulled up these numbers, and this is what people actually care about. This is the thing that people need to understand, and I don't think they count some of the stuff in the inflation numbers.
They don't, bro. The people, first of all,
They twist.
they take out all the thing like gas, food, your grocery
like shit that people care about.
Yeah, the stuff that impacts everybody like on a daily basis. Like, we don't count that in the inflation numbers.
Ready for this? So I'm going to use these are fast food places that everybody's familiar with. From 2019 or the end of 2019 to 2024. Okay. Here's McDonald's. A medium French fry in 2019 was $1.79. Today it's $4.19. Okay.
Wow.
A Big Mac in 2019 was $3.99. Today it's $7.49. A McChicken in 2017 or 19 was $1.29. Today $3.89.
Is that true?
Yes. 141% increase in prices
in 5 years.
Long ago.
We have never seen
in almost not even 5 years, end of 2019 to the mid 2024. Here's Taco Bell, a beefy. It's funny that we're talking about crappy food. We're this podcast.
I know,
but I think it highlights.
But it does. I like that you're using this because the way they do inflation is they pull out all these things. Let's be honest. The average person goes to a fast food restaurant or orders from DoorDash or does these things on a daily or gets pumps gas, right? Like those things are the most impactful. So
you're right. So like Taco Bell, the 5-layer burrito, $1.69 in 2019, $3.69 today. Yeah. Chick-fil-A had some crazy ones. 8 Chick-fil-A nuggets was $3.05 in 2019, 2024, $5.99. I mean, you're looking at like 50 to 150% increases. Now, here's the deal. Like a lot of people in 2019, there's a lot of parents and a lot of people who were like, making it and saving a little bit, maybe not, living paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
When you get food prices that go up like that, where it was $1, now it's $3. It doesn't sound like a lot, but you add that up with your groceries, and all of a sudden you're screwed.
Added layer of tax.
Yeah, dude, it's wild.
And I still think that we haven't seen. Here'd be an interesting one for Doug to look up. Like, look up what in 2019, since we're doing 2019 compared to now. What was the average savings in 2019 versus the average savings?
Plummeted.
Yeah, because one of the things that was going around when COVID hit and all the relief money came out and stuff like that is, and why a lot of people predicted the housing market to continue to go up was because there was record amount of money in people's savings. Between equity and like personal savings, a lot of people had a lot of money in their savings account. And now I forget what the stat is, but I saw that number and I know it's dramatically shifted. And in addition to that, credit card debt, we're at all-time highs.
Yeah, I did hear about
so
that.
people's savings have dwindled. We're at we're at record highs in the credit card. So we still haven't seen the complete fallout yet. Like we stretched that money out to now, and then we're on credit cards, and we're still around, and it's like it hasn't fallen all the way.
By a thread right now.
Yeah, it's like if I feel like it's like at any moment. Have you found it, Doug, to see what it was?
So the average household had $41,600 in savings in 2019. That's average.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm looking up for 2023. The average was $25,898.
So
almost half, and 2024 is probably lower. By the way, where do they get that average from? There must be some people like big ass savings. I'd like to see median.
Well, the median is $1,200.
There you go. Yeah. So average here's why average is
because there's somebody who's got millions.
You got people with millions of dollars in their savings.
Yeah.
So median would be the actual middle. $1,200.
Not to mention that's a good point too, Sal, because the people that have those huge numbers, they impact that average much harder.
That's right.
So like you could have 10,000 people that only average $1,000 that have no money in there now.
But you have a billionaire. Now everybody's a millionaire.
Yeah.
On average.
Yeah. Silicon Valley companies that Gavin Newsom's
the number
banking
I
on.
was looking at that I think it was like total savings of God, how was it was said? I brought it on the podcast way back in 2019 or 21 when we were talking about all this stuff about how much, because you remember when you and I were debating about the real estate market, whether it would go up or down, and how right I was. That was like
so far.
You snuck that in there.
So far, we'll see.
Well, it's even when it falls
Actually,
out.
we'll wait long enough and I'll be right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a fact, right?
Yeah, exactly. At some point, we're going to see somewhat of a correction. But even now, like even if we saw a correction, and a 30% correction would be unprecedented, we'd still be higher.
I know.
So that's what's
Everything's
nuts about.
inflated.
I know. And where are we at? Interest rates 7.5 right now. 7.5.
Is that what they are for houses?
7.5, 8. You know, right now.
How low were they at one point? 3?
Oh, some
less
people
than
got.
that.
Yeah, some people got like 2.5. I have friends that have like have mortgages for like 2.5, 2.3.
You know what's crazy? What's inflation at? Well, see, I don't like the stupid numbers because they finagle it to make
Is
it
it like
whatever.
3.5 right now?
That's not true. I think if you add actual expenses and stuff, it's got to be way higher than that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
What do they put in the numbers? Don't they put like ridiculous, like certain, like there's specific things that they choose?
Yeah, that's why I was making
They
a
say
point.
it's 3.4%.
Yes, okay.
It's got to be it's got to be, if you really look at groceries and everything, it's got to be in the double digits is what I would guess. That's crazy.
It doesn't. I don't know.
A lot of people don't realize that means that your savings, if let's say the average of the things you buy on average every year goes up 15% in a year, that means your savings, however much you have, is 15% less. No matter what, it's
a big part of what's propping this all up. And I know this because I firsthand was like this. When I was in my mid 20s, I had already had my house so I bought my house when I was 21, and at 25, I thought I was rich because my house had gone up to over $500,000 and I bought it for $300,000 and I was making six figures. So I was like, in my eyes, in my world,
I got all this money.
Oh, I'm balling. I'm making good money. And in my head, I'm like, I've basically got 300,000 in a savings account sitting there. Right. So, and I live my life that way, spending it like crazy. And
credit.
And then the big crash happened. So you got to know that this housing boom that we've had has caused those behaviors in a lot of people that are like,
and they won't let it correct because of how many people will be affected, and they're gonna not vote for you.
And what's artificially propping it up right now is what we're still seeing. So I was just, my buddy who's a realtor over here, and he has a podcast he's been trying to do for a while now, and I tune in every once in a while. Just tuned in the other day just to kind of see how he's doing. And he shared like a really interesting stat about the Bay Area housing market over the last 3 years. Because they're realtors, right? So they're always making the case with everything's going to go up. It's always a good time to buy, right? Which of course he's going to be biased to that, right? So but still, he did provide some interesting stats though that make me go, wow. I mean, there's good point there. Okay, so my numbers are going to be off, but you'll get the picture, right? Because he goes this year. Available homes on the market in the Bay Area are it was 840 or something like that. And then he had the guys pull up, what was it this exact time last year? Oh, it was 1,200 and something. What was it the year before that?
Inventory.
It was 2,500.
What was it? Yeah, that's the best way to keep prices high.
Yes.
So
supply low.
Yes.
Low,
so supply is at record low as far as for these houses. And even though interest rates are high and we're struggling with all these things with inflation.
There's at least that many people who got money.
Yeah. And so what's happened is these people who have all this equity in their home don't want to sell because they can't afford to get more house because the interest rates are high. Mm-hmm. So everybody's hoarding their equity. They're like, typically what would happen is if we had like 3% housing right now, which by the way,
a bunch of houses on the market.
Yeah, you see a bunch of houses on the market because people would be flipping theirs and getting into bigger houses and upgrading their house. But because we increase interest rates, everybody who's got these houses and they would potentially like to go to a nicer house, they can't get a nicer house because the interest rate has gone from 3% up to 7.5%. So they sell their $2 million home in hopes that they're going to get into a $2.5 million home, but they can't. They can actually only afford a $1.7 million home. So they actually would have to downgrade. So no one's going to do that. No one's going to sell their house to go downgrade. So you have them all holding on to it. So it's keeping inventory really low, which is propping up all the prices.
And the mass exodus is sort of fizzled out, right? Like in terms of
it's already happened.
The state, right? Yeah. So you're left with the people that are just like hunkering down. So yeah, I could see that. Like the inventory is just going to be low.
You ever communicate the prices of houses and shit out here to like family members in other places? Just look at
I don't even bother.
Oh,
yeah,
bro, I tell my family in Italy, because my parents were over there. They just came back, but they were over there, and I'll tell them like, oh, you guys have been to my parents' house. My parents have a middle class, modest home in San Jose. It's not like a rich area, or whatever. It's just a regular South San Jose house. I'm like, oh, that's like almost $2 million to buy the house. What? Yeah, almost $2 million. No, I'm like,
sense.
yeah, dude. So it's just that house right there.
Crazy.
I know. It's so wild. Anyway, I'm gonna take a left turn. I read the coolest. So creatine, which we talk about all the time on the podcast for the last 9 years. In fact, I think we were one of the first people in our space to communicate how creatine is just across the board.
For supplements, it's our number one.
It's a beneficial supplement across the board, whether you want to burn body fat, build muscle, improve cognitive function, improve your health, improve the health of your organs, increase longevity. Okay. By the way, creatine is easily the most studied ergogenic supplement. There's like thousands of double-blind, placebo-controlled studies on creatine. Okay. It's incredible. Another study came out. You guys are going to love this one. Typically, when you take creatine, in order to reap the benefits, right, you would take it and you would start to see the effects, after a couple weeks. You wait for, ATP levels to build up and rise in the body. Then you start to see the effects, et cetera, et cetera. Well, this study came out. This is wild. Newly published data shows that a single high dose of creatine, one high dose of creatine, improves cognitive performance and processing speed during sleep deprivation. So if you're exhausted and you're tired, you're like, oh my God, whatever.
Interesting.
Instead of caffeine.
Immediately? Is it like within?
They said the peak effects occur at 4 hours post-dose.
Wow.
And the effects last as long as 9 hours. Here's what they saw. Improved memory, faster processing speed, stabilizing brain pH levels, and the changes in brain energy metabolism, which was good. So, and this is because
what a cool little hack now to when you have a rough night of sleep to do like a little mega dose of creatine.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Wouldn't even have thought of that. Yeah.
I hella want to try that.
And I remember, here's why it's such an incredible supplement. ATP is one of the main sources of energy of your cells. Like I think every cell, if I'm not mistaken, utilizes ATP. Creatine, your body takes creatine, which is found in meat, right? In animal sources, typically where you find creatine: chicken, fish, beef, eggs. I think some dairy will have creatine in it, or it has some dairy, I should say. So you'll get it from natural sources. But what your body does with creatine is it turns it into ATP. And most of us don't consume enough creatine to maximize the ATP that we have in our body. In fact, to do so, you'd have to eat a lot of meat. So supplementing with it provides you with all this extra ATP. And like I said, it's one of the most studied supplements. So it's been around now and been studied for over 2 decades. Okay, lots and lots of studies. And they found it to be not just great for performance and muscle building, but it's healthy. It's healthy to have more ATP because all of your cells operate better, including the cells of your brain. Wow. So how wild is that?
That's cool.
It is wild.
Isn't that great?
Is that new, brand new?
That's new data that's coming out. Yeah. So like it's almost like for the average person, if you don't want to supplement with creatine all the time, you got to go do a big presentation, a meeting, you got to study, the day before, take a bunch of creatine.
Dude,
and you'll probably do better.
It's come such a far way since being this like potentially banned performance enhancement.
I remember that.
Like I remember that when I was in football, and they were like, we had this big talk about it, and they were very concerned, that it was gonna.
I remember. So when I was in high school, like Cell Tech was the thing, right? And we used to take just tubs of that.
Which is, by the way, that was creatine plus
sugar,
pure sugar, dextrose.
Yeah, dextrose, and I remember that the big scare back then was that your body doesn't like break it down or digest it, so it just builds up in your stomach, and so
really,
yeah, that was like wow. So it was this like huge fear that like I was just like all this creatine was just building up in my gut, and my body wasn't utilizing all of it. I remember that there was a lot of people.
I'll tell you what. This is where, like, I believe in. I think God was looking out for me early on. Obviously, I did a lot of things that weren't healthy through my years of strength training and fitness, taking every supplement, over the counter, designer steroids at one point, like just force feeding myself, just terrible, unhealthy things. But one thing I did right was I started taking creatine at 16 years old. It was Phosphagen by EAS. Remember that? They were the first one. By the way,
Phosphagen HP.
By the way, well, that was when they added the sugar. But I got the plain old Phosphagen.
No.
And back in those days, so this was, 16. So I was probably 1995, maybe 94, 95. A small, like 100 gram bottle of it.
So expensive.
Okay. It was $40 back then.
Yeah.
So I was a 16-year-old kid, and I washed dishes and I worked, and I saved up my money, and I'd buy it. And it was the first time I took a supplement, and I remember reading it, and I took everything. So I was like, whatever. Yeah. Bought it, took it, and I was like, oh my God, this works. Oh my God, I'm stronger.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
I remember that too.
Yeah.
I remember when that was like why too they got all my money was because I remember because all I did was bicep curls and tricep push downs all the time. And I was curling like 5 pound heavier dumbbells. You know what I'm saying? It was very
within a week.
I got 2 extra reps in bench. I was just like, wow, this is crazy.
That's about right. It's about 5 pounds, 2 extra reps on all your lifts within a week or so. Is what you'll notice. But what I was gonna say, the reason why I'm like, oh, God was looking out for me, is since I was 16 till today, I've never stopped taking creatine. Never. I never went on a break. I never I never cycled it like people said, whatever.
And later on, you find out it's like good for you.
It's like a great longevity supplement, dude. So I might have like helped offset some of the other shit that I did in my life. I've been taking creatine this entire time. Bro. Anyway,
Somebody's looking out for you.
I saw some other good, interesting stats today. So there was this top 5 countries in the world for citizens, like citizen gun ownership. Okay, so they went in the top 5 countries. Obviously, number 1
is America.
Okay, so we're going to crush everybody with that, right? But so I was looking at this top 5 list and the countries in it. So like it was like I think Iraq was in there, and I don't remember all the countries that were in there. There were some Eastern Bloc countries, and they were averaging. I think second place was 35 guns
per person.
No, per 100. People. It was like 35 per. I wrote down the stat for America.
We're more than 1 to 1. I know.
So it was like 35. Like,
we got one man.
Fifth place was 30 guns per 100. Fourth place was like 32. I think second place got up to 35 per 100. America is 120 guns per 100 people.
Dude. Yeah.
Wow.
Bam.
But the title of the article that it came in was, America's got to be one of the hardest countries to invade because of that. That's actually true.
I mean, think of how scary that is if you were really considering that.
You have the longest insurgency in the history of the world.
Odds are every person I see is going to have at least 1 gun.
Yeah. I mean, or there's definitely people out there with 50. They'd be handing them out.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, if you tried to invade this country, not only would it be tough because of our location, but it would be the most bloody occupation, and it would never stop. You would just be fighting guerrillas for the rest forever, for decades, because so many Americans, and we don't just own guns. By the way, when you look at those other countries, they're like regular rifles and whatever. Like these southern states.
You ever been to Texas,
bro,
or Nevada,
or Arkansas, or whatever? Like they got some crazy shit, bro.
Military grade stuff.
I know, right?
It's fun. I don't know if this is like the getting older dad thing of me. Like I was just talking to Katrina, like how much I really love our neighborhood, right? And like my neighbor's like stacked up with guns, like, and he's always home. He gets home every day. Like he's a garbage man, and he's home by like noon.
So you just feel safe.
Yeah, I do. And he's always in his front yard.
Do you have his phone number?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we talk all the time. I was outside talking to him for like 2 hours last night. Like, so I love him. He's like the mayor of our little neighborhood, and he's got 2 other family members that have moved in there, live there, that live around the corner, and he knows every single neighbor's name. Like, so we
should make your house the meeting point for a freaking
it was
apocalypse thing.
I can't tell you how much I care about this. And I don't know if it's the old thing. I don't know if it's the dad thing. I don't know. And maybe I just didn't think about these things when younger, but having that community vibe and feel. And I feel like a lot of California misses that. And so having that in the Bay Area is rare, I feel like. And so I really feel like we have this. So I don't know if I told you guys the other day, like, so the car wash guys are at my house. They're washing one of the cars. And
did you tell? I think you might have. Did he tell us?
I came out. I didn't talk about it on the podcast.
Oh yeah. Okay,
and I came out, and I come walking out, and Tim goes, "Hey, I told your car wash guys keep an eye." And he tells me, he's like, some car. They drove by, and then they went down. They parked down over here near in front of my house. The guy walked out, and he goes, "It's not a car that's friends of any of ours. I don't recognize it." So I called, Tom across the way and told him to look for it, sent him a picture of it, this and that. And so then I got on my camera system. I saw the cars. I froze it, took a picture of it. I said, "Is this the car you're talking about?" He goes, "Yeah, that was them." And he's like, describes what they look like, sends it to the Facebook group. Facebook groups it. Everybody starts. I'm like, damn, dude, this is like the whole neighborhood's just like out watching for it now. I'm like,
you'll love it until you get a fight with your wife or something outside. Then everybody's gonna know.
the whole neighborhood.
Adam was yelling.
Oh man, I do. I really I like that. I didn't realize how much. And
of course, you got kids, bro. You want to feel community. But you know what? Besides that, I think it feels good anyway to know the people you live around. It's so rare.
You know
Looking out for each
You know
other.
what though? Like, and I feel like I have to work on me because I had a condo before that, and we didn't really talk to our neighbors before the house before that, and so I've trained myself to be an awful California neighbor.
Yeah.
Where I could easily.
Well, you're also you and I are similar in the sense that you and I are both extrovert introverts. Sometimes extrovert, a lot of times introvert. Like,
Yeah,
you don't want to. You just want to be all.
No, you're right. When I get home, I tend to be, to myself.
I'm the same way.
Myself, and I'm aware of that, and so I'm trying to be better. Like, part of me talking to them last night was they're always him, and like he was. I came out. I had come back from a drive, and the neighbor I'm talking about was across the street and 2 houses over, working out in my other neighbor's yard, and the day before that, the other neighbor was over in his yard helping him with rocks, and so they're always like. And so I was like, you know what? And they're outside right in front of my house, and they're talking, and they're having a beer or something like that. And I'm like, I would have just walked in the garage. I'm like, you know what? I need to walk over there and go say. And then we ended up talking for like an hour and a half, 2 hours or whatever like that. But I have to actively do that, and I'm trying to be better about being that neighbor too, because I really
Same
like
here.
it. Yeah, I appreciate it, but it actually takes effort. Like I have to.
Yeah, we did when we moved over where we're at is we actually went to our neighbors and rang the doorbell and introduced ourselves. Hey, we just moved in over here. We got this many kids. Nice to meet you. And it was a great thing that we did that because now the people, when we see them, we say hi. We initiated it. I try to stop and talk to people. But you're right, it takes effort.
Yeah.
Because my nature is to just like, oh fuck, someone's outside.
No, I'm with
I'll
you
stay
guys.
inside.
I mean, I've gotten a little bit worse over the years of like going from place to place. Like I was very embedded in like community at my first place. The second place is like I was like, no neighbors like immediately on top of me. This is amazing. And then you kind of do miss that. And so we take our trash cans. We have to take it all the way to the top of the hill. And so we kept doing that over and over again. And then eventually like the neighbors would be outside. So we stop and take our time. We'll chat with them. But now it's like at that point where we're looking out for their house when they're gone, or like they're looking out for ours now. And it's like, it's so much better to do that. And like, really like
relationships
make it happen.
Everybody knows this with like a marriage, right? They take work, right?
Yeah.
Friendships take work. Partnerships take work. All relationships take work, including the ones with the people that are around you or whatever. Meaning you got to put like, nobody's just going to come up to you and just start like,
I know.
And if you put off the energy that you don't want to be talked to, you're not going to be talked to.
Yeah.
But it's so rewarding because, like I said, my nature when I get home is I don't want to talk to anybody outside. I want to like be alone, whatever. But when I make the effort and I do it, it's always so rewarding. I always feel so fulfilled from doing it.
It is. It's funny how we can get trained though to be the other way, because by nature I would think I'm a friendly person, but you're right. Like I've trained myself to just kind of be in my own thing for so long, but yet I appreciate and value that so much. And I've been interesting. And I have shared this in the podcast also. I told you my sister who moved to Texas. And she's so far away. It's so sad. I don't get to see her that often, but I'm also very happy for her because I see every week. Like I see on her Instagram stories.
Do they do like neighborhood parties?
Every Friday, Saturday. The whole neighborhood is in somebody's yard. I mean, there's like 30 people.
Really?
Lawn chairs out, grilling, like 2-3 grills are going. It's like every single week over there in Texas.
Cool.
Like it's that.
It's so funny that we're talking about this. So you know what I started doing, which I never thought in a billion years I would do? You guys know how I am when I work out in the gym. Don't talk to me. And I have a mean face on top of it because I'm working out and I want to be not approachable. Okay. But I've changed that now. Now I go to the gym in the morning. The staff there knows me. We've had them come in here. When we did our trainer course, we had some come in, and my really good friend, my first mentor, is one of the leaders of UFC gyms. So I know him again. So I go in, say hi, whatever. And so little by little, the members there would say hi and I'll talk to them. And you know what I do now? I'll cut my workout short now to have a conversation. I would never do that in a million years. If I'm doing a workout and you're talking to me, I've done this before too. While someone's talking mid-conversation, I got to go finish my set and I'll leave. Now it's like I'll see someone, if they say hi, and I'll just talk with them. And you know what? I get more out of it.
Well,
get more out of it.
Talk about shifting your focus on health, because we talk about this all the time.
For me, this is necessary.
Right.
Some of you need to just
You're not.
Let me be clear. Some of you need to stop talking in the gym. I'm the other guy.
Get to work.
I'm the guy that needs to work out.
No, you're right. You could get away with missing some workouts to build relationships and community. And so I think that's awesome. I think it's great awareness that you know that about yourself. And hey, that's something that an area of
Speaking
health.
of which, one of the front desk people was talking about how they notice when they go into deficit, how their skin starts to look not as good. And they're like, is it because I'm leaner? Is it because I'm losing body fat? And I said, no. I said, are you tracking your protein? And they're like, well, not really. I just kind of cut calories. And I said, protein, amino acids are what make up proteins. Those are the building blocks of collagen. Those are the building blocks of your skin as well. And if you cut your calories, your protein was probably low anyway if you weren't tracking. So it got even lower. And so you're noticing changes in your skin. I said, number one, the best thing you could do is hit your protein targets in a deficit. But if you find that too difficult, supplement with protein powder. And then if you want the one that's best for skin, then do collagen or bone broth protein. So I'll let you guys know what the report is after a few weeks of doing this. But for sure, if they take my advice, they're going to notice improvements in the skin. And the data on collagen protein, by the way, shows it very clearly improves the health of people's skin. But that's because people don't eat enough protein. Then they supplement collagen protein. It makes a big difference. That being said, whey protein wouldn't do that in that particular context. Now, if your protein's really high, it doesn't matter. But in the context of below the upper limit, then the collagen protein makes a difference.
Well,
so I did talk to them about the bone broth from Paleo Valley.
Chocolate donuts.
Yeah, the chocolate
I was
one.
going to say, Courtney's big initiative is to really increase her daily protein intake. And she's found that like collagen and the bone broth way easier for her to digest.
Oh, it's the easiest digesting protein.
So the other, like
like
she
water.
had a hard time with whey and like, so that was something that I had to consider. So I had her try the Paleo Valley version. She really likes it.
Do you think, is that the primary reason why like some people who are like big runners, why their skin looks so unhealthy like that? Is that why? Is
Part
that
of it, the oxidative damage. I think the protein intake is too low.
So it's a combination of those things probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to know what's funny?
That is common sometimes. Like you see
Well-
somebody who is thin, they don't have a lot of fat on them, so quote unquote healthy, but then they don't look healthy. And it's because they run a lot like crazy. And it's not necessarily the running that does it. It's the...
Well, did you know that I brought this up a long time ago on a podcast. One form of exercise has been shown to dramatically improve skin health and quality in studies, real studies, strength training.
Lifting weights.
Other forms of exercise have not shown this effect. Now, the reason why this happens is when you lift weights or you do strength training.
Build muscle, better glycogen stores.
Well, not just that. It's not even that. You are sending a total body, like if I just train,
hormonally.
Not even that. If I just train my left leg, it will definitely get a lot bigger and stronger than my right. But my right will also build a little bit. Or to put it differently, if I work out my legs, most of the gains will go to my legs, but I'll still gain some in my upper body and vice versa. Studies have shown this where people will they'll put people in a cast in one arm and they'll take a group and have them work out the other arm.
Do
and
they call it the irradiation effect, or it's not the same thing?
It's not the same thing. I don't remember what the term was, but in the study, the people with the cast, they'll have a group of them work out the other arm. The other group just leave both arms alone. The group that works their arm, works out the other arm, loses less muscle in the arm that was casted up. There is this systemic effect that also happens. Most of the effect with strength training is localized. I work out my bicep, most of it goes to the bicep, or I just work out my legs, most of it goes to my legs. But there is this systemic effect that's a much smaller effect that goes to the rest of the body when it comes to protein synthesis. Remember, protein synthesis is when your body's taking protein, turning it into new tissue. So strength training doesn't just build muscle, it actually sends a very low signal for all protein synthesis, which includes hair, nails, and skin. And that's why the data shows strength training makes your skin look better, where other forms of exercise, not necessarily.
Very cool.
Pretty cool, right?
You want to look pretty, lift weights.
Yeah. I love that. Oh, speaking of our partners, I have a family member that's, they're going through some tough stuff right now, tough medical stuff. I sent them the sleep blend from Ned. I'll give you guys an update on what's going on.
Oh, really?
Let you guys know.
Just
yeah.
recent? Or just
I just had Jerry mail it out yesterday. So I'll let you guys know because the sleep band of all the sleep supplements we have, That's the nuke.
It's a great intervention. It's something I have to do. If I'm caught in that loop where it's been just like a few days and I haven't caught up yet, I'll try to intervene with the sleep. It's just like it's so effective, knocks you out.
It's like a nuke. You're going to sleep.
Yeah.
What is the blend of everything that's in it?
There's valerian root in there. There's cannabinoids that I think CBG is one of them that is known to induce like relaxation and sedation.
Yeah.
Plus CBD, which has some calming effects as well. But it also has herbals, like I said, like valerian root, which have been shown to help you sleep. So it's like this combination, including the cannabinoids that sedate you.
Chamomile in it or no?
Oh, I don't know if they,
because I feel like if it doesn't, that's like a great.
Look it up.
Yeah, it's got MCT oil, oat straw, lemon balm, passion flower, skullcap, full spectrum hemp, and CBN.
Yeah. Oh, passion flower's in there as well. Passion flower.
No GABA in there.
CBN. I messed up. It's CBN. CBN knocks you out.
So have that. Sip on a little bit of chamomile with it too, and
yeah.
Be real nice.
Chamomile's it's a natural like sedative that's so safe. In Europe, for years, they've given it to children to help them sleep better.
Yeah. No, I've seen some kids' medication with it in there before, and
you mean like supplements? Or?
Yeah. And that's Katrina's a big tea drinker. When we first got together, I mean, still today she is this way, and she's the one that got me in the habit of like using chamomile like that. And I love it's actually I really like it. It tastes good, and then like if I really need to up it, then I can use. So I got
sleep products. Years ago. I had like heart palpitations that were kind of happening. Couldn't figure out what was going on. Wasn't dehydrated or whatever. I think it was stress. We were moving at the time, doing some stuff, and I was actually had a doctor client who was really like progressive when it came to health, and they're like, start drinking chamomile 3 times a day.
Oh, 3 times even.
3 times a day.
Oh,
I had chamomile tea in the morning, afternoon, evening. It's mild, so it's not going to make me sleepy.
No, it's not like that. It actually is more like a calming effect.
Yes.
It's not like a sedative.
Bro, remember my heart palpitation at this point I had worn a Holter monitor. They had checked me, like I was kind of freaked out. They're like, okay, it's nothing dangerous, but we could put you on a beta blocker if it's really bothering you. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. They did the chamomile. Within 3 days, it was gone.
That's why I think the natural stuff sometimes is so much better than taking something like heavy with melatonin or like something that kind of knocks you out versus something that's just real mild that mitigates.
So, so groggy the next day too.
And a lot of times that's all it is for me is I just need to calm my brain down a little bit and calm down. Less about like, oh, I need something heavy to knock me out. I just need something to kind of calm me down. I feel like the CBD products are like that.
Yeah, dude, I got to tell you, I did a post that I do this every year right around this time of year for us. That just gets people so mad when I bring it up, but you can't argue it because it's true.
Okay.
I know I'm going to trigger you guys a little bit too because we all hate this topic, but I'll bring it up anyway.
Yay.
So what makes theft? Let's just start there. Like, what makes stealing? Like, if you came up to me and you're like, "Sal, give me
related to taxes."
Yes, of course. Thanks for ruining the
punchline. He's like, that's because you hijacked my transition the other day.
Just joke blocked. It's happened to me so many times.
Take my transitions. I'm gonna get your punchlines.
Exactly. It's payback.
All right, fine. Yeah. No, but seriously, if you came up to me, Justin, and said, "Can I have your phone?" and I said, "Yeah," is that stealing? No. If you came up to me and said, "Hey, give me your phone," and I'm like, "Nah," and you're like, "Well, if you don't, then I'm going to eventually throw you in a cage and leave you in there,
lock it up."
Yeah. And then I give you my phone. Is that theft? Yes, that's theft. So I make that point, and boy, do people hate it. We all, what do they say? What do they call it? Like a societal?
Yeah, we benefit from all the other.
No. What is it called? Like a document, or we all live in society, and we're all part of this. Agreement. I'm like, I didn't sign no contract.
Social agreement.
Social agreement. Yeah, I didn't sign it. I don't know about you guys. And then I this is what really pisses people off.
This is a fun one.
This is what really pisses you off because then I'll get those comments and then I know like, okay, I'm gonna get this person really spun. And I'll say, okay, if I came to you and I said, you're gonna work for me, and if you don't work for me, I'm gonna throw you in jail, and I force you to work for me, would that be considered slavery? Like, would that be the definition of slavery in the world? And they're like, well, yeah. Like, well, 4 or 5 months out of the year, most Americans are not working for themselves. That's not the same thing, bro. I mean, technically it is, That really pisses me off.
What country do you think has taxation done the best?
Oh,
who does taxes the best, in your opinion?
That's a good question. Hong Kong for a long
It's gonna
time
be Argentina now.
did a really good job. Oh, Argentina still. I mean, they're working.
Still
their way
working
out
on
of-
it.
Yeah. Hong Kong did a really good job. They were a third world country, and within a very short period of time, became an economic powerhouse with no natural resources except for a harbor. And what they did is they made it so that you could go there and conduct business. They had low regulations, low taxes, and they just business exploded, and people worked together,
Innovation, everything.
They just crushed and became this complete powerhouse. I don't know what their taxes look like now, but
yeah,
doesn't Dubai have low taxes? Don't they have?
Yeah, low taxes.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, the everything you're bringing up is really irritating. But on top of that, what irritates me the most is like, okay, well, I mean, I could be all right and get in on board per se if it's like there's accountability, there's pure like transparency.
Oh yeah,
with
you know where it went.
where that money goes, and it's like I voted and had a say where it ended up, and like I was like, okay, this is doing good for the community, like the community that I live in, but also community within the country that I'm a part of. I cannot say that.
No, like you mean like the billions that California spent on
Like
homelessness
funding
that they can't
foreign
now.
wars and you know, just
Yeah.
like funding other people's pockets that like we're just not going to account for it.
No.
Like trillions of dollars, we're just not going to account for it, you guys. And nobody's like nobody's getting pissed off about that.
People don't know that they come out with reports all the time and they say we don't know where this $50 billion
Dude, if you ran any other business, like anything you're doing, and you don't have that kind of accountability or transparency, like it would be destroyed.
Of
crushed.
course. Well, if you ran a business where you could literally force people to give you their money, then would it matter?
Well, that's what,
I mean, I just accepted a long time ago that the government's the biggest gangsters of all. And
Yeah.
so,
the biggest mafia there is.
yeah. It is what it is. No matter how you draw it up, it's like
They don't even care. It's like like there's no excuse. There's no like oh well, we're actually going to do this with it. So
See,
they don't even care about.
I
it
don't. I like consumption taxes. No, I'm going to be clear. I'm not an anarcho-capitalist. I don't know how you could run a society without some type of, and I'm going to piss off
taxation,
all my hardcore libertarian fans or whatever. Yeah, I don't know how that would work. I've tried figuring that out, but I do like consumption taxes more. I think it's crazy to tax people on what they earn, but I understand taxing people on what they spend. So especially like
you're going to know that going into it.
Yeah, like oh, you want to buy a $300,000 car? That's taxed heavily. Mm-hmm. It's an expensive car that's taxed heavily. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Instead of like
big ass yacht.
You're gonna make the more money you make, we're gonna tax you more for it, whether you spend it or not. You're just gonna get taxed more anyway. I know you love this topic.
Good subject. Thanks.
No, it's painful. And it's painful this time of the year always, no matter how you do it, And it's like, it's ridiculous the way we do it, but it is what it is, I mean, I just accepted, which is probably why I was, why I flirted with the gangster side for so long. Because they're going to be gangster. I'm going to be gangster. We're going to figure this out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you versus me type of deal. I feel like there's the other thing that's not fair either to the average person is that, and I felt like I've learned this in my journey, is that it benefits a very small percentage of people that can afford to pay for these super, super expensive CPAs.
Oh, you mean the tax code?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, bro.
Yeah, the
it's
tax
so complicated.
code. Yeah, they make it so complicated, and they make it so far out of reach for the average person. So if you fall in like middle class, you can't afford to pay the CPA and the accountants and the bookkeepers and the lawyers to structure you in a way that you can play the game. So it's not fair that you can't play the game the same way the guy who has millions of dollars can play the game, which that's the part that I think is really fucked up, because the truth is there's plenty of people out there that have found loopholes to not pay a lot of taxes, and there's ways around it and ways of doing it for sure. But
that are legal.
Yeah, that are legal, that are not illegal. They're totally legal to play. I mean, example is Trump and how we've seen him do that. And there's plenty of people. He's not an anomaly. There's lots of them that are that way. But they make it so inaccessible for the average person. I mean, just to get a CPA, a lawyer, accountant that you need to basically put all those pieces together, that would be most of someone's salary.
Weren't you the one that came up with the idea a long time ago where, okay, you have to pay this much money in taxes. Now here's your categories where you can put the money, and then you choose.
I would love that.
Yeah.
That's
how quickly war would get defunded.
I know.
That happened.
exactly.
Yeah, quickly.
I know.
And I don't think it would be that
amazing.
difficult. And then it would also make all those entities have to really campaign and fight for your dollars and prove to you that they're worth it and they're valuable and sell you on, because here we give our 10% flat rate, right? So I'm fair with that, right? We need roads, we need some basic shit that's like, I don't know how that needs to get
Military,
done.
right?
Yeah, whatever. Here's your 10%, you take that. And then the other 25% of my taxes, I can allocate in areas that I think we need improvement, or I think and you get to choose. I want all of it to go here in schools because I think our education needs way more help and our future is important. So I'm going to put all mine there. And maybe you're like military defense guy. So you go, it's like, I think that would be a better way to do things. I think the way we do it is terrible. I don't know an example of a country. I'm definitely not the history guy here of like who has done it the best the last 50 years as an example of like, oh, look at their country and how it's ran, right?
I don't know.
Hong Kong is your best example.
Hong
Did you look
Kong,
up, Doug?
Dubai, I know.
You were the tax guy before.
Yeah, but I don't know what country's done a good job.
You know
honestly.
what you do is, here's the best way to do it, in my opinion. Look at the different state, because there's state taxes as well. So federal taxes across the board. Look at the different states and look at their tax codes and how well they've done when it comes to unemployment, when it comes to business creation, because also, of course, regulations are in there.
Yeah.
When it comes to safety, when it comes to all those different things.
How well everybody's thriving in that community.
And then what you do is you don't go one state against one state, is you aggregate them and then you make categories. Okay, say these states that are on the lower end versus these states that are on the upper end.
You know what's funny about that,
And then you
Sal?
compare them, and I think you'll see.
You know what's funny about that, Sal, is that that in itself is like kind of like what I like. States, if you're a state, especially if you're in the middle of the country, because I don't know if you've ever seen that. Have you guys ever seen the stats on like the percentage of people that live? Like if you look at like
it's the coast.
The coast is like 80% of the 80% of the entire population is like the two coasts, and then like everybody else is distributed amongst the other 40 or 30 something states in the middle or whatever. So. And those ones in the middle really have to fight for people to want to live in their state. So because they have to do that, they offer all these great deals for companies like, oh, come build your warehouse in our we'll give you no tax. So they have to fight for people to come live with them. And so it makes it competitive and makes them
that's what they use.
Set great tax codes but California, New York, all these coasts, everybody wants to live there because it's a great location to live. And so they
can just hammer you.
So they can screw people and they can get away with it because at the end of the day, people want to live near water and sunshine and those things. And,
and it is beautiful around here.
It is.
Yeah, no, it's the one thing we got going on.
Totally. All right, so today's shout out is our newsletter. We have a newsletter. It's great content. It's not just a recap, but actually educational and entertaining on its own. It's at mindpumpmedia.com/newsletter. Sign up. It's free. It's great. ZBiotics is a genetically modified probiotic drink. In other words, you can't find this particular formula anywhere else in the world that breaks down acetaldehyde in the gut. Now, why is that important? When you drink alcohol, some of the acetaldehyde from the alcohol gets in the gut and then you absorb it from there and it makes you feel like garbage. It makes you feel like crap. So here's what you do. You drink ZBiotics, then you drink with your friends, enjoy yourself. And then the next day you feel much better. There is no product like this on the market. Go check them out. Go to zbiotics.com. That's zbiotics.com/mindpump24. And the code mindpump24 will get you 15% off first-time purchasers. All right, here comes the show.
Our first caller is Liz from Illinois.
Hi, Liz. How can we help you?
Hi. Good. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Yeah, let me just jump right into my question because I kind of have some limited time here at my work conference.
All right.
So early on in March, I was doing the pre-phase of anabolic when during one of my last reps of my squats, I had felt my knee pop and then I had instant pain from that. And that pain is just kind of right below the kneecap. I took 2 to 3 weeks off from squatting because I didn't want any lingering injury. And when I felt better, I tried to squat again. Same thing happened. Again, took 2 weeks off, made sure I primed the best I could. Did body squats to ensure there wasn't any pain. Ice. I have a TENS unit at home, so I used that. And then when I actually put weight back on the bar, the same popping sensation happened, only it was much worse. And I now have like visible swelling and more chronic pain. I even tried to make sure I went lighter on my squat than I typically would just because I wanted to ensure I could do it, but clearly I couldn't. I'm just frustrated as I'm not new to lifting. I'm was a college athlete. I ran MAPS beginner, anabolic, and performance, and saw significant improvement with my strength. And I really had some big goals when I ran anabolic the second time, and I want to continue those gains and growing my glutes. I've tried to do some leg exercises that haven't seemed to bother my knee, like RDLs, box squats, but I wasn't sure, like, should I be doing any type of squatting? Are there other leg alternative exercises I could be doing instead of my squats? Just kind of what direction should I go in terms of this injury? Because I don't want to stop lifting. Like, I'm actually probably not going to stop lifting, but I need to kind of know where to go from here.
So it's hard to give you advice without a diagnosis. Have you had a doctor look at this to ensure that it's not a tear or?
I have not. I happen to work in a long-term care facility, and so I had the PT there look at it, and they had one of two things. They either thought I might have like slightly torn my patella tendon or a meniscus.
Yeah, that's what I was going to guess. I would have guessed either one.
The swelling is what concerns me.
Yeah, the swelling would make me think, we might actually have an injury. But sometimes the patella tendon, it can move in funny ways. You know, you got people with like ostrich slaughter, which is like a raised tendon.
And I have that on my left knee.
You do, okay. And then
so this is on my right knee.
Now, when you do you feel the pain when you walk or do anything else?
When I'm walking, the pain is more like at a 2 or 3. It's very minimal. Like, I know it's there, but it's not hindering my step or alternating my gait or anything like that.
When you twist, when the PT tested you, did they try twisting your leg one way or another to see if there was pain there?
No, they didn't. It was just more describing the pain. And then I have like that point tenderness kind of where my Osgood-Schlatter is on my left knee. I almost have the same point tenderness location on my right knee.
Okay, well, you could try this. Next time you do something that kind of bothers it, do a long static stretch of the quad. That tends to make a big difference for people with patellar tendon pain and tightness. The second thing I would say is you could definitely switch out squats with box squats. That's a great replacement.
That's a good alternative.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that was worth it because it's not a full range of motion, but that's like when I have the most pain is when I would go down into like the full range of motion squat. And that's when like it.
That's okay. In this case, this is where we would modify like that. That's why there's always exceptions to the rule, and because we're dealing with something like this, I think that adding like hip thrust movements like that would probably feel good.
And when you say full range of motion, what do you mean? How deep are you going?
I wouldn't say quite like astragalus like you guys have said, but I'm definitely going past 90 degrees.
Okay. So I would not go that low. So you want to train within the range of motion that you feel good in, and then slowly, incrementally increase that range of motion while going lighter. What you don't want to do, because there's range of motion that you have strength and stability in, and then there's just range of motion. Then you just have range of motion. And oftentimes we have a greater range of motion than we actually control. So you have to train within the range of motion that you feel good in. So that might be a box squat or a parallel squat. And then slowly, incrementally, you go down maybe a 1/4 of an inch lower, and you pause at the bottom and you go lighter. That's how you progress yourself to full range of motion squats. Because sometimes what people do is they push the full range of motion squat, and it's that bottom part, especially when you change directions. If you have 100 pounds on your back and you squat down, that change of direction, there's a microsecond there where the weight is more than 100 pounds because you're stopping momentum.
More shearing force there,
So you're stopping momentum and having to reverse. And if you don't have the stability at that deep position, then sometimes you can cause problems. So train within the range of motion you know that you own, and then incrementally, very, very slowly, with tiny, tiny changes, you can increase that range of motion. But I would start with a really long static quad, like it's good old fashioned quad stretch like we did in high school, and test yourself out with something that, you kind of feel it like walking or something like that. Or when you start to feel pain, do the static stretch, hold it for 30 seconds to a minute, then relax your leg and then walk again and see if the pain is much better. If it's much better, we're probably dealing with some tightness in the patellar tendon, which isn't, it's probably not a tear is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. Yeah. I think, Justin, you had mentioned box squats, or I can't remember which one had mentioned hip thrusters. I mean, when I do hip thrusters, I cannot figure out how to connect to my glutes in that way. And so I try to avoid doing them because it puts immediate strain on my lower back. I wasn't sure, like I would be more than willing to try hip thrusts, but as like an alternative for my legs, but I
So you're
don't know
not
how to do
connecting?
the without throwing out my lower back.
You're stabilizing your body by arching your back. Is what's happening.
Yeah.
We have a video. Is it the one you did, Adam, where you showed
The
people
back
how to
press.
do
Back, yeah, low back
Yeah.
press first.
I don't. Maybe Andrew can look up what that video is called. I think it was grow your glutes. Or it was like the glute video I did,
Yeah.
and then I'd go into. So what you need to do before you go into the thrust is actually press your low back flat
Yes.
into the ground. And so
Okay.
what's
It's
happening?
almost like you're tucking your tailbone.
yeah.
That's an exercise on its own first.
Yeah. So like you
Okay,
get in
start
that
there.
position. This is with no weight too. And we should practice this with no weight at first till we get really good at it. And that's just laying on the floor with your back flat, your knees bent at 45 degrees. And then before you lift your butt off the ground, you actually press the low back flat really hard. So you press it against it. And what you'll realize when you do
Okay.
that, it's going to take the hips, it's going to slightly rotate the hips, and it's going to engage your abs and core.
Yeah.
Then the goal is can you lift your hips and maintain them in that neutral position and then squeeze your butt at the top?
Isometrically hold that
Okay.
for an extended amount of time too, until we really can feel that connection grow between your mind and muscle there.
And honestly, even if we don't like eventually load that, like, so I would actually have you do that before you do any of your leg exercises. It'd just be a good thing to practice is because you want to learn to engage your glutes and all these leg
And do
dominant
body weight, no weight.
Yeah, just your body and prime it. Do two sets of it for 10 reps. And every time at the top, pause, squeeze your butt, hold it there, come back down, reset, flatten your back again, get in that position, abs are tight, lift up, squeeze your butt at the top, hold it for like 3 seconds, then come and just do 10 reps like that, 2 sets before any of your leg exercises you start your workout. That'll be good for you.
Okay. Yeah. Because even when you're describing that exercise, I'm like, oh, I think I actually will probably have a hard time with that. I don't know. Like I was a pitcher in college for softball, and I don't know if like I really think I have an imbalance in my hips because my right leg was constantly in like
Probably,
the extension,
yeah.
and then my left leg was constantly in flexion.
Yeah.
So yeah, even when you guys were describing that exercise, I'm like, oh, that's going to be embarrassingly challenging for me, I think.
So
To make it work.
practice
Great
at
time to
home.
work on it,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. That's just highlights that it's something that
When
we
you
need to
find
work-
movements like that, Liz, just if this makes you feel better, when you find movements like that for yourself, we're like, wow, that is going to be very challenging for me. That's where the most progress.
where the
and
gold.
gains
That's
is.
where the gold lies.
Yeah, like if you pick an exercise you're just naturally good at, I mean, it's the ones that you're not good at where you'll see just huge potential.
Plus,
So
I'm sure that's going to contribute more to your squat too, in terms of having like a good bracing mechanism
Totally.
in place, and you know, like avoiding a lot of the downstream effects in your kinetic chain. So you know, your knees, you know, may get some relief as well.
Yeah, the video is called the 3 exercises. What does that say, Doug? You scroll down. Can't see.
Oh, I don't have it on.
Oh, it was Andrew who did it.
Andrew.
okay, we'll send you the link.
Yeah. We'll send you that link over so you can watch and pay attention to the cueing that I give in there.
Okay. Definitely will do.
All right.
All right.
But yeah, thank you. I think that was my only question, but thank you guys so much. I mean, your podcast was pretty much why I got back into lifting after college, because I was definitely that person that just had been told what to do and how to do it for 10 years. And I just, that was enough for me. So I stopped doing everything. And so a year I got into podcast again by a friend who listens to Tara. So shout out to her. And I've been super excited to get on this podcast and so excited that you could answer my question.
Thank you so much, Liz. Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yep.
Have a good one.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Yeah.
Who'd you say? Tara? Who?
Tara? Yeah.
Was that the friend that she called
friend,
out?
yeah.
Oh, I thought you said that's who was on our podcast, so that's how she
No.
found us.
She introduced her.
You know, it's interesting. Have you worked with the people that raise tendon, Oshkood Schlatter? I think I'm saying it right. You know,
Right.
it's like a static stretch. It's like really makes a big difference.
Yeah.
That always reminded me of some G.I. Joe character or something. Oshkin Slaughter.
Well, that's because it runs and it inserts on the front of patella. So if it's really your quads are really tight, it's going to be pulling.
I mean, and it made a huge difference with the kids that I trained who had it and the clients that I had. Anytime people would feel now the swelling is like might have torn something.
that was what concerned me when she said that. I was
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
multiple times in attempts. Yeah. So
Yeah, that makes me think, okay, you might have torn something. But otherwise, like I've had people with that, like, oh my, knee hurts, and they point to right here, and we do some static stretching, and then it's gone.
The other thing that is that was like a flag for me was that the fact that she can't engage her glutes in a hip thrust, which makes me concerned about the mechanics of the squat, which means
the
she's
recruitment pattern.
She's probably very quad heavy and dominant.
If you look at, it's funny too. If you look at,
which again affects the ligaments.
Yeah, and if you understand the biomechanics of a hip thrust, the low back should be minimally evolved. So it's like, and people will say this, my low back is tight from hip thrust. Here's what's happening. Your low back is tensing up, trying to stabilize. You're arching your back while you're pressing, and it's trying to stabilize while your glutes disengage. So you're going to feel it in your back. It's an easy fix though.
Yep.
Our next caller is Samantha from Arizona.
Hi, Samantha.
Hello.
How can we help you?
I'm good. I'm. You know how everyone gets on here and they're always like, I'm gonna try not to, fangirl or whatever. I'm totally fangirling right now. So thank you guys for taking my question.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. How can we help you?
I'm just gonna read my question because I tend to babble and I don't want to do that and take up too much of your time. So my question, I sent it in January. So how do I begin to reintroduce carbs back into my diet after years of eating a carnivore type diet? For reference, I'm a 34-year-old mom of 2 who has been obese since I was 15 when I moved to America. I've tried and failed every diet under the planet until going Ketovore. I dove headfirst into it, and when I was diagnosed with prediabetes. With diabetes being such a huge issue within the Samoan community and running deep within my immediate family, it scared me straight. I've kept my carb intake at about 10 to 20 carbs max daily, and this helped me lose 80 pounds over a year and a half. I was not a gym person. I just sort of worked out on and off a couple months at a time for the last 6 to 7 years, and mostly with group fitness and cardio. Unfortunately, I didn't realize the importance of weight training until I discovered you guys last year. I found your podcast last fall after watching one of Andy Frisella's 75 hard challenge videos, which I had just started. Then after a few weeks of binge watching all things Mind Pump, I stopped that challenge and purchased MAPS Anabolic. I started that program and started reverse dieting in November. I started at 1350, which is super low, but 1350 calories a day and worked my way up to 2600 calories. My macros were as followed: proteins 150, carbs 20, fat 160-ish. Oh my God, I'm shaking, you guys.
You're doing great.
You're doing good.
I've noticed significant increase in my strength, but I'm still not quite able to hit my PR that I had years ago before I was doing keto. I listened to enough of your podcasts talking about the importance of carbs when it comes to performance. So as anxious as I am to do it, I decided to start incorporating carbs back into my diet because my goal is to be strong AF. My question at the time was, should I slowly start adding carbs in, or does it matter if I go from 20 carbs a day to 150 carbs tomorrow? Any specific carbs I should avoid when it comes to blood sugar? So again, I sent this email in January and have since started incorporating around 100 grams of carbs a day to my diet. I still don't eat bread, so all my carbs come from rice, potatoes, and fruit. I instantly noticed the increase in my strength, but the bloating was no joke. It's so bad that I started getting new stretch marks all over my stomach. I still trusted the process and kept at it for 2 months, and then started my cut from 2,800 to 2,300 in April. And after 6 weeks into the cut, I gained almost 4 pounds. Am I an anomaly? Because I feel like this should be working, but it's not. Should I just stick to keto and hope and pray that I can get stronger without the carbs? I feel like carbs are just not meant for me.
Oh, wow. Okay. I got some really good advice for you on all this. By the way, going keto for too long can actually cause, over a period of time, some insulin issues as well. So now even the most ardent ketogenic advocates advocate for having some carbs once a week or so, because it actually can cause this kind of reverse issue over long periods of time. So that's why you see people who are on keto diets or carnivore for years and then start to slowly back out of it because they start to notice these issues. But nonetheless, there's 2 things I think we need to look at with you. We got to look at your gut health, because you should not feel that kind of bloating with carbohydrate intake. That's not normal.
Especially those carbohydrates.
There's something going on with your gut health. I would go and get tested. You could work with our friends over at the Dr. Cabral place, and they'll do some gut testing with you just to see if there's anything that you need to work on. That'll make a big difference. Number 2, strength training is the best possible thing you could do for blood sugar. And number 3, I think you would benefit tremendously from working with a continual glucose monitor. We work with a company called NutriSense, and it comes along with someone who coaches you along the way. And so what it does is it reads your blood sugar in real time, and then they can really individualize your diet. So whether you eat 50 grams of carbs, 100, 150, whether it's bananas or rice or, whatever, that will tell you specifically for your body which carbs are affecting your blood sugar the best. So for someone like you who's like, okay, I was pre-diabetic, I don't want to go back, like a CGM with a coach is so invaluable. I think that'll be so great for someone like you, because you'll be able to see in real time what's going on with your blood sugar and how you feel, and then you can modify it and make it really specific to your body.
I also want to highlight something that I think you kind of you glossed over. In fact, I think you skipped the part of the 4 pounds in November, because if I'm reading this correctly, you went from 1,350 calories, worked your way up to 2,600 calories, and you only gained 4 pounds on the scale. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
That's great.
That's insane.
I know. I was so proud of myself because I was watching the scale, right? Because I'm like, I want to make sure I'm gaining my muscle, my strength increase, and not just gaining fat. So I was very I followed you guys this, reverse diet to a T. So I was like very meticulous. Yeah. I have that personality where I'm like obsessive, like most of your callers. Yeah. And so I was really good about it. And then all of a sudden, just in those 3 months, the last couple of months when I incorporated carbs, that's when I just feel so inflamed. I'm like, I knew you were going to say Dr. Cabral, because I already beat you to it. I've been in contact with them, and I got, I started the CBO protocol, 2 weeks ago. So I'm already on that one.
Yeah. I mean, that's what made Sal go that direction. The fact that you had that much success increasing calories, only put 4 pounds on, then you cut calories, but introduce carbs, and all of a sudden you go up. That's a huge red flag that there's something else going on than a calorie. It's not a calorie intake thing. It's the type of food or what's going on in your gut that you have this bad reaction. So you're on the right track, and I think you're doing great.
Yeah, I think once you identify what the gut issue is and treat it, then, because you should not get that kind of bloating with the food. It just, unless you have some kind of an immune reaction to the food, that shouldn't happen. And that's a hallmark of, like you said, SIBO, when you're like, wow, I just ate some carbs and I'm so bloated, it's painful. But yeah, the CGM is going to be, that'll be so massive for someone like you who's trying to avoid, you were pre-diabetic, you don't want to go in that direction, but you also want to eat some carbs for performance. There's nothing that'll be more individualized than that. Yeah. It's so great. And then literally there's a coach on the other end that can text you and message you or talk to you.
Real time.
And they'll say, hey, yesterday, what happened at 4 p.m.? You're like, well, I ate this, that. Okay, well, that type of carbohydrate for you maybe not work so well. Try this instead. And you would be surprised at the kinds of foods that some people get a high blood sugar spike with that they're not supposed to, and how other people, I know people who, they would have like a bagel and get a better response than they would with an apple. And so there's a big individual variance. And that's not typically what happens, but my point is that gets as individualized as it gets. So I think that would be huge for you.
Okay. Real quick, since I did start the CBO protocol, I noticed that my strength obviously did decrease because I'm following that to a T, and I'm eating more than what they are recommending, right? Because I'm like, I want to, keep my gains from running anabolics twice now. So is that still okay for me to do? I know
Samantha, right now you want to heal. So whatever Cabral is telling you to do, you should follow that right now.
And you're working with them, or
everything will work better if you go through this.
Yeah.
Are you working specifically with a functional medicine practitioner? Did they test you for SIBO, or are you
just doing it on your own? Protocol 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I started the CBO protocol 2 weeks ago.
So you did a gut test and they said, this is what you need to do.
No, I just did the little questionnaire thing. Yeah. And because that was the most cost-effective option for me. I was like, I check all the questionnaires. So
if it doesn't work, it'll probably do well. It'll probably do work. But if it doesn't work, if at the end of it, you're like, oh, my bloating is still coming back, and then I would get testing, because it could be something else, because SIBO is more common, but sometimes it could be SIFO, which is a fungal overgrowth. And oftentimes treating one will treat the other one, but not always. It could also be a parasite, which also happens sometimes.
But
so,
Samantha, I want you to follow what their team is telling you, though. Don't worry, your gains are not, you're going to be okay. You're going to be totally fine, and getting you healthy is only going to accelerate your results in the future. So that becomes priority one, is making sure that that's all dialed in, and then don't worry, we'll take care of the strength training and muscle thing for you. You're doing good.
All right.
Awesome.
All right. So I'd love to hear back from you after this process, though, with Cabral. I'd love to hear how it goes for you, because you got a great story already. So follow back up with us.
Will do. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank
Samantha.
you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, if you're somebody that struggles with blood sugar issues, like a CGM, there's no way to get more.
It's the perfect candidate for that.
Yeah, there's no way to get more accurate than that, because your blood sugar can react so interestingly sometimes to different foods, and it could be stress, lack of sleep. Sometimes will do it, but keto is not always the answer. And oftentimes going keto, like I said, there's data now that shows going keto for long periods of time can actually cause a reverse issue.
Huge flag there, though, for someone to go from, I mean, that's crazy. She went from 13 to 20. She doubled her calorie intake, only put 4 pounds on the scale. Incredible.
Yeah, everything going great.
And then all of a sudden introduced carbohydrates. And the ones she listed, seem to be fine. It's not like she's eating a bunch of crap.
It's not all processed.
It's very uncommon to have a legit food intolerance to the carbs that she listed. Those tend to be the most easiest to tolerate.
So obviously something else, some underlying issue going on. And then back to the point, too, of me telling her, follow what Cabral said. This is a mistake that some people make, is they she goes does a test, she gets a protocol, but then she's ignoring what they're getting, and she's adding because she doesn't want to lose her gains. It's like, no, getting healthy is going to give you more gains than anything else. So follow the protocol when given that by a functional practitioner.
Our next caller's Rachel from Michigan.
Hi, Rachel.
Hey, Rachel,
how can we help you?
Hi, guys.
How you doing?
Oh my gosh, I'm super excited to be here. I just want to say I love your guys' show, and thanks for making podcasts so I have something to listen to while I'm at work.
Awesome.
Right on.
Thank you. How can we help you?
So I guess before I get into my question, I'll give you a little bit of background on myself. So I'm 20 years old. I'm 5'8", 158 pounds. I have a history of overtraining quite a lot. I have a busy, active job. I'm a park ranger, so I take between 10,000 to 20,000 steps every day. So I'm very active, and I've been working out for 4 years now. I've been following your guys' programs for 1 year. Before that, I did a lot of cardio with weights, and I have a goal of building muscle and burning body fat. So I've been running the MAPS 15 program now for about a week. And I really like the fact that it's an everyday program with just short little workouts every day. So it can keep me consistent, but it's not really long. So I guess my question is, I'm wondering how long I can run the MAPS 15 program before it becomes like too little volume, like before I'll need to switch over to a 3-day-a-week program, kind of like aesthetic or anabolic or something, before the volume becomes too little. In the 15 minutes. So
great question. This is a great question, Rachel, because we've been conditioned, and there's some truth to this, right? That in order to progress, you have to kind of follow the progressive overload principle, increase, weight, volume, reps, that type of deal. But obviously, or maybe not so obvious to people, but to us, it's obvious. We've been doing this for a long time. You can't do that forever. Mm-hmm. If that were the case, I've been working out now for over 30 years. My workouts would have to be, 12 hours a day, every single day, for me to continue to make progress. But that's not the case. So it's true up to a certain point. In fact, once you get to a certain point, backing down often gives you results. And then you play this up and down game throughout your training career, where you can do more volume, less volume, more volume, less volume, and you work with other variables. And oftentimes it's the novelty in the variables that causes the gains, not necessarily the increase in the volume. Okay, so now that I said that, there are lots of ways to increase volume that don't include adding sets and exercises. For example, you add 5 pounds to the bar.
Load, yes.
Your volume is higher. Remember, volume is intensity. Reps times sets times weight. That'll give you a nice general idea. Now, there's a little flaw in that. Obviously, if you go real light, 100 reps, you got this crazy looking volume. But within the rep ranges that we use in strength training, is pretty accurate. So if you're getting stronger, you're already adding volume. The volume's already getting added because you're stronger. The only time I would switch out of MAPS 15, are you doing the advanced version, by the way, or the other version?
Yeah, I've been running the advanced version, the 20-minute one. So
Okay.
Great.
You can follow that for a long time. And when I would start to switch, there's two reasons I would switch. One is because you might want to train more unilaterally. You might want to work on lateral stability, just kind of strengthen.
Multiplanar.
Yeah, so like MAPS performance or MAPS symmetry would be good to kind of balance out the body. The other reason why you would switch is that you're plateauing. You're just not progressing anymore, in which case trying like a MAPS anabolic or performance would be a good idea.
I really like that program for you, though, just so you know, because you're very active. So you have a job that requires you stepping 15 to 20,000 steps. And so you're not lacking more activity and movement. So that's what's great about this program for someone like you. Totally different conversation if you were a engineer and you sat all day long and you're like, hey, I'm just running MAPS 15. At one point, should I move out of it? It'd be like, well, yeah, I'd like to progress you to moving more. But you move a ton already. So you get great activity. And that dose of weight training is probably perfect for the amount of movement and activity that you already do. And so I'd run it quite a bit. I'd run it probably for a year and see where it takes me. And then we could, go ahead.
Yeah, just because I just started back up as my job as the park ranger. I've been off for like the winter, and I ran aesthetic and performance over the winter months. So last year I ended up running anabolic while I worked there at the park, and it was just too much volume for me and everything. So
stay in MAPS
I was
15.
just wondering.
Yeah, stay in MAPS 15. Stay in MAPS 15. And I actually love that idea of when all of a sudden it hits winter and now you're inside and you're not maybe out there very much. Then you could run like an anabolic type of routine or symmetry like Sal recommended. Would be great.
Okay.
But so long as you're out and you're doing that, stick with MAPS 15. I think it's going to do you really well.
Totally.
Okay, yeah, cool. Because like I said, I was just wondering because last year I really overtrained hard when I was doing that job with a lot of steps, and then doing the anabolic. I overtrained. Like I gained a lot of weight. Some of it was muscle, but a lot of it was also fat too. So I just don't want to overwork my body like I did last year. It's just too much on me.
You're on the right track,
and get the right mindset.
To hear someone your age who's that aware of overwork and overtraining it really makes me happy. So you're doing so great because typically,
strength is your North Star. Keep paying attention to that.
Such great advice right there. You're getting stronger. You're on the right track.
All right, that's good to know, because if it weren't for you guys, I probably would have just kept pushing myself a lot, because I listened to your guys' podcast and I realized that strength training isn't just about becoming just getting the body you want. It's also, it has mental aspects.
Yeah.
It's got all sorts of different things. So I'm just glad I listened to you guys and I learned all this stuff that strength training can do for you. So
awesome. Thank you.
So good to hear, Rachel.
Yeah. What park are you at, by the way?
I live in northern Michigan. I work at Charlevoix County Parks and Recreation.
Awesome.
So
awesome.
Doug and I are on our way out to Michigan tomorrow.
Oh, really? Where are you going?
We're close to like Detroit area, aren't we?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So downstate. Yeah, I'm up in the top of the mitten. So
awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening.
All right, Rachel.
Yeah. Thanks for taking my question. It was a pleasure to meet you guys.
You too.
Thank you.
Yeah, you as well.
Good head on her shoulder.
I love seeing like the younger generation that's actually listening to the podcast. Cool.
Oh, so great.
20 years old and
on
the right
here's
track.
a little cheat sheet with a MAPS 15 protocol. Okay, if you're following that and you want to add in lateral stability, you switch out one of the exercises.
Yes.
You want to add in rotation,
add in some lateral lunges.
You want to make it more functional. You make it more functional.
Rotation presses. Yeah.
That of all the programming that we've done, as complex as all of them are, that MAPS 15 format is got to be the money, and it's the easiest to plug and play than other programs. So that's just for people who have that program. It's like, that's a game changer right there.
Our next caller is Holly from Virginia.
Hi, Holly.
Hi, Holly.
How can we help you?
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
We're good, thank you. Thanks for calling in. How can we help you?
Thank you for taking a minute to answer my question. So I've heard you guys talk about trying to keep your clients the same weight when they first start trying to lose fat and build muscle. And I feel like I've typically heard this in the context of someone who needs to lose like 10 to 20 pounds. But I was wondering if this is a relevant strategy for someone who is significantly overweight or even considered obese. So for a little bit of context, I'm 5'4", and I currently weigh about 190 pounds. So according to the BMI chart, which I understand has issues, I am considered obese. So I was hoping to maybe understand an appropriate mindset and target weight toward losing fat, gaining muscle, and achieving overall health.
Yeah,
Holly, this very much so applies to you.
I'm so glad you called in.
It's a good it's a good question, but this is when we talk about that. It's actually I am talking more to the clients that we had to lose. I think it's like me saying also someone who only needs to lose 5 or 10 should do that. Even more so my clients that needed to lose more than 30, 40, 50 pounds. This is what I wanted us to do. And really what I'm doing when I first start off a client is I'm really trying to find homeostasis for them, because a mistake that people that have a lot to lose right away is they go from this lifestyle of being sedentary, not a lot of good food choices at all, to all of a sudden the other way, right? All of a sudden they start eating really low calorie, lean, and they start moving, and it's such a dramatic swing, and they get excited because they see this initial drop of 10, 15 pounds in the first month. And what that tells me as a coach is that, whoa, we did way too much too fast. We either, one, didn't need to do that much activity, or we didn't need to cut our calories that low. And what that's setting us up for is a hard plateau really soon here. And so even that client, when we're first kind of figuring out where should we eat, I'm checking in with you on a weekly basis and going, all right, Holly, where do we at? And you're like, Adam, we're staying about the same on the scale. I'm like, beautiful. That means I've got your calorie intake to movement about right where I want it right now, and then we're focusing on building strength at that moment. So yes.
So to kind of explain like the science of what's happening, when you drop your calories below your calorie intake, below what you're burning, your body tries to match the new caloric intake by slowing down your metabolism. It's a natural thing. It's called metabolic adaptation. One of the ways it does this is by paring muscle down, but there's a lot of other ways as well that kind of work in combination. So if you start out right now with just trying to lose weight on the scale, you'll probably lose muscle and you'll slow your metabolism down, and you're setting yourself up for really, really hard sustainability, or a hard plateau, as Adam would say. Now in the reverse, we have you strength train, build muscle, fuel yourself enough to build strength. You don't really see weight move initially, because what happens is you lose a little body fat and you build a little muscle. By the way, you get smaller when that happens. So if the scale stayed the same and you lost 4 pounds of body fat and you gained 4 pounds of muscle, you're going to be a little smaller because muscle is more dense. So that hopefully makes you feel a little better in that initial stage. But through that process, we're actually doing the opposite with the metabolism. Your metabolism is adapting, but it's adapting in a positive way, in the sense that it's speeding up. Now we're setting ourselves up for easier fat loss later on, and then much easier sustainability. So that's why you want to start by trying to boost the metabolism, not by trying to slow it down.
You want to have that flexibility,
right?
Down the road.
And let me paint the 2-month picture with you. If you were my client, what we'd be doing. And to Sal's point, we should see. So the only thing I'd probably be watching is like circumference measurement, right? I'd have you measure around your waist, right to your belly button, right where we started. And then the goal is to kind of hit the calories to where the scale's not moving much. And then a month goes by. And what I want to hear is like, Adam, I'm stronger than what I was when I started, and I notice my waist is going down a little bit. And then guess what I want to do? I want to bump your calories. I want to go up. Okay. And then you're going to be like, Adam, what? Up? Come on. And I'm like, yes, just trust me. We're doing great right now. The fact that we're going down on the circumference, we're staying the same on the scale, you're getting stronger, is telling me your body is building muscle, and I want to add more muscle. And it's like, and again, the goal is month 2. Can I see that circumference go down a little bit, but not really move on the scale? But then now we're eating an additional 250 to 300 calories more a day. Like, and then month 2 goes by, and you're still like, Adam, come on, this weight's really not moving much. I'm like, yeah, but guess what? Now we're down 1.5 inches on circumference. You're eating 300 to 400 more calories a day. You're stronger. And I'm going to keep showing you that until we get to a place where you go, Adam, I can't eat anymore. This is like too much food. I'm like, okay, cool. Now let's come down in your calories, say 500 calories.
Fat comes off
and
your
then
body.
Watch. The weight's coming down like crazy, and you feel good, and you're at a place.
And then you're at a place where you're eating as much or more than you are now, but you're 40 pounds lighter or whatever your goal is. So That's the sustainable approach.
And it feels like it's slower at first, but in the full, like when you zoom out and look at the total goal of whatever the weight amount that you want to be at, like the desired weight, right? It's actually the faster way. It starts slow, it comes on hard
snowball.
and fast, versus what most people do because they're so desperate to get the scale down that they cut so hard, they move like crazy, and they get a head start on me. You know, if we got someone else that's competing with you and I, they get out the gates early in front of us, but then come month 2 or so, you and I, here we come roaring past, and they're at a standstill.
And you're doing less work.
Yeah, they're
eating more food.
Yeah, they're doing more work. They're eating less. They're frustrated, and here we come, and we just blow right past them.
What's your target body weight, Holly?
I guess that's a great question because I'm going to be completely honest. I'm over the scale. I'm tired of it making me have a good day or a bad day.
Good.
I'm that person who I've done every diet. I've tried everything.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I honestly just want to feel better.
Okay.
I like that answer.
Good.
Yep. I like that answer.
Yeah, and by the way,
I just want to feel better.
By the way, you're really strengthening our position here because you've probably taught your metabolism to adapt downward very quickly through all the multiple diets and stuff. I mean, what we're saying probably is resonating. You've probably done that before where you lose some plateau and you're like, oh my God, I can't move more and eat less. What's going on? So, all right, here's what I want you to do. I want you to aim for about 150 grams of protein a day. Okay?
Okay.
That's it.
All right.
150 grams of protein a day from whole foods. Eat the protein first. So you're going to have to do a little weighing to figure out what this looks like, but that's 50 grams of protein for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Eat it first, and then you can eat the rest. Avoid heavily processed foods. Drink a lot of water. And then what I want you to do is I want you to try and get stronger in the gym. Do that for the first 3 months. And then from there, if you want to cut, you can start to look at your calories. By the way, you're probably going to get leaner in that 3-month period as well. But then from there, you'll be in a nice position to cut. But at that point, you should be a lot stronger with your lifts. You should feel good. You're like, oh my God, I things are feeling different. I'm a little smaller. I feel so strong. I'm eating more food. I don't feel like I'm depriving myself. And then from there, we could probably usually start to cut. And then it's like an easier process.
To add to that, Holly, I want to follow that to a T. And then I want to have Doug put you in our private forum. And then I'd love for you to check in with me once a month.
Yep.
Once in a month, just check in with me to let me know how you're doing, how your consistency in the gym is going. Are you following one of our programs already? Did we even cover that yet? We didn't, right? Are you?
I am not. I do have starter just because I can do those. I haven't gone through it all the way yet, but I like to be able to have an option at home.
That's great.
Because
perfect.
That's don't always make it to the gym.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's great.
Because everything's crazy.
No, that's perfect. That's your program.
Let's start there. That's perfect. That's just I just want to make sure you got
Could I go into the gym like one day a week and just like focus on Big Five or something like that? Because I've heard you guys talk about what you can do just with those lifts.
Follow starter to the T.
And then we'll do that next.
And then the next program, I'm going to send you MAPS Anabolic. Yeah. MAPS Anabolic, you have an at-home version with just dumbbells, or you have the one where you can use barbells. And then if you go to the gym, you can do the barbell version. If you're at home, you do the dumbbell version.
But starter's perfect for
Starter's perfect.
Starter's perfect for where we're at and what we're doing. And then we'll progress you to anabolic. So, and then again, just once a month, just, give me a post on there, tag the guys and I, so we can see it and we can respond, and just give us an update on the progress. And the only thing I want, don't even worry about the scale. I honestly want the circumference is the only thing we're paying attention to, and strength. That's the goal right now. Yeah. The goal is the waist to not go up and the strength to go up.
And hit those grams of protein.
And hit those grams of protein. That's our first month goal. And that will tell us how on track we are with.
And remember, eat the protein first. It's going to control the rest of your intake quite naturally. Okay. In fact, you'll find this can be kind of hard.
So do I need to count calories during this time, or just focus on
the protein? Nope. Eat it first, and then the rest. Easy. And then and as long as you're not eating heavily processed foods, if you eat your 50 grams of protein for breakfast, and you're like, I could eat a little more, go ahead and throw some fruit on it, some rice, whatever, no big deal. But what will probably happen is you'll find that it's hard to hit 150 grams of protein from whole foods. Mm-hmm. It really does. Okay. It does an incredible job in satiety.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you guys so much.
You're going to do really well.
Yeah, we're going to see you in the forum, Holly.
Yeah, you're going to do really well.
All righty. All right. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you.
You too.
Have a good one.
Thanks.
I'm so glad she called in because she represents so well the average person.
Very much so.
And if everybody just did that, what we just said right here, we would see the success rate go through the roof.
I know.
I can't wait to help her. I think
Such
she's
the
gonna,
opposite
she's gonna
message
do great.
is
It's
being promoted.
It is.
do great.
It is. Just those things that we said right there. You don't have to count all your calories. You don't have to weigh. You don't just focus on those things. And getting stronger is such an incredible metric to measure because it tells you a lot. If you're getting stronger, you can still do some things wrong, but you're probably not doing a lot wrong. But if you don't get stronger, well, then you know.
It's just so hard because it's such a mental hurdle to get past this. I need to lose.
Of course.
You know,
You've already made the decision. I got to lose weight.
I lose all this weight. And in reality, that's actually not what I want us to do for the first month.
Yep.
The scale is going to stay about the same. You know, and when I say it's give or take a couple pounds here or there, that's really what we're really looking for is no drastic swings either way. I don't want to see a massive weight gain either. I don't want to see her put 15 pounds on. Yeah. But I also don't want to see her lose 15 pounds. I kind of want her to hover around there.
That's like a 4 pound up or down.
Yeah. 4 pound up or down because you could easily fluctuate that in water, no problem. And being strong and feeling good and that waist staying same or going down is going to be a huge
Her not wanting to use a scale anymore is amazing.
Yeah, that's a positive.
Already perfect.
That's a positive.
Awesome. Look, we have a fat loss guide. It's free. It teaches you how to lose body fat, follow the right steps, do it the right way so that it stays off. It's a free guide. You can find it at mindpumpfree.com. You can also find all of us on social media. Justin is on Instagram at mindpumpjustin. I'm on Instagram at mindpumpdestefano, and Adam is on Instagram at mindpumpadam.